Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new flip-through video. This is day 2 of my December staycation here in the Twin Cities where my friend Robin came up to visit me. So you will see all of our journey on day 2. So we started in the morning, and I should say not all of this was holiday. This was very sort of a one-off. Like it just happened to be we could get there right when they opened. They had an interesting exhibit we wanted to see. So not holiday related, but still fun. But as you can see, we started out our day at the Cat Museum. It's the Cat for short. It's actually the Caucasian Art Trust. And it's very small. It's in this kind of weird warehouse area, industrial area in Shoreview, Minnesota, which is a suburb of the Twin Cities. But they do predominantly glass. That's what they're known for. So like this Chihuly piece is in the front window, that's permanent, but then they have various traveling exhibits, and we got to see one. So here I just did Cat with my own letter stickers. I was trying to match all the different colors happening here. And I happen to have this digital art element that looks like a museum. So I thought, well, that's perfect. And it's blue, kind of matches. So just pulled those all together there. And then this was the exhibit we wanted to see called Kaleidoscope. And so I took the front of the brochure, just took that off, used an attacher to get it on here. And then I actually wanted the info to show on the back because it's quite interesting about these artists. They're brothers. So it's interesting info. So I wanted to keep that and not cover it. But then on this side, I thought, well, what can I do? This is black and white. I sort of have free reign with what I want to do. I decided I would go with the black and white somewhat, but then also put all or most of kind of the fuchsia or purple things together that I had from that exhibit. So that's why you're seeing all of those. And then here I dropped in some digital elements like this one and this one, but then the rest of these I added myself. Phrase strips, a date label, the little arrows around. And again, I was trying to match the other colors in here. So I kind of went with that more yellowy gold and that sort of bluish gray tone. Then I have another photo collage here. I tried to do some of those just to keep down the bulk of this album. Now that it's all done, I realized like I could have had more pages. I could have done fewer collages because there was still room, but that's okay. I'd rather have it not be so stuffed that it won't lay flat. But here again, I was trying to match predominant color, which was yellow. So I put all of those together. This had a yellow background, and then I went with the blues that were in there to try and match things. And then here, it was just a simple border sticker that I had. This was in a travel set from, I think it's Everyday Explorers. It looks like their design style. And really that's all I needed to put on there because this is so busy and the pieces are so unique. That's really what you want to focus on here. On the other side of this 4x8, I chose to do another enlarged photo of this particular piece because it was so interesting, visually interesting. And it had the purple background again, and so these, the color, the lighting in this section was a little off, so that's why these, like this looks more pink than purple, but they were actually all together and still part of the same exhibit, so I put them together. And because these pieces are kind of so wild, I decided just these little pendants with the stars in a matching color. So I did that for this and this for this. And I felt like that was enough. Once we were finished at the Cat, then we were on to more holiday things again. So here we are at the Norway House. This is in Minneapolis in the kind of Cedar Riverside-ish Franklin area. And I've done this before. They do a gingerbread thing every year. Gingerbread Wonderland, I think they call it. But they do it every year, and I've done it multiple times. I hadn't been back in a while, so it was interesting to see. They kind of stepped it up. They have a little bit more room. Now they've revamped part of the building. They added on and did some construction, so it was quite nice to see how it's been updated. They have this huge pine cone sculpture outside, so I thought, well, that's perfect. And there was definitely snow on the ground then, and I wanted to get that in there. Then here they had some little village setups. This was actually in the, I think this was in the gift shop before you actually go into the gingerbread exhibit, but it was cute with all the houses, so I wanted to get that in there too. And then there was some kind of, I don't know that it was a craft fair, but there was some kind of event where people did have handmade items they were selling. And so we were kind of milling about there till it was our time to go in. So you can kind of see some of the things there. And it just looked cute. And I had some things that matched. So I thought, all right, I'll feature those. But this was the main attraction. This is the gingerbread area. So this was right as you enter, and you can kind of see how it's laid out here. And it was very blue in that section. So I thought, perfect. I know I have some blue cards and embellishments that I can use. And I think those worked very well. So as we were making our way around, there were definitely some things that were more traditional. So I have a lot of red, green, and white here, which is fine. And luckily I had in a sticker book that I had, it was kind of vintagey holiday stuff. There's a whole page that was like ski lodge themed. I was actually able to use some of those when originally I thought I'm never going to use anything that's on this page of stickers. I did end up using some of them, so that's great. So this was one of them, and I thought it worked well with what I had here. And then on this side, the lighting was a little weird too there, but I liked how you could see the lights from above shining down. So I wanted to feature that. You can see that here as well. I kept it simple. I just used a wood grain background. I had this embellishment already punched. It's a 2-inch circle, and I added those here to go with the theme, but that's it. And then here's some more just little things that were set up with the train going by. Here's another one of those little like ski chalet stickers. So I loved it that I actually used quite a bit of that sticker book, and that page in particular when I didn't think I would. And then here's some more, like this even says ski pass on this little building, and then there's a cute little kind of A-frame here. And I thought that worked well with what I had going here. And then I even had a sticker that said Winter Wonderland, and it matched this kind of odd lighting back here, so why wouldn't I use it? And obviously you can see this is a collage. I did this one in Project Life. This is one of their 6x8 templates you can use, so I used that. This is another template from Project Life, so I did this right in the app. I loaded all my photos, I dropped in a digital card, and then I couldn't remember if I was allowed to use digital elements or not. Like, would the system detect it if it wasn't actually a card? Apparently not, because it let me drop this in. So I was able to use it, which is awesome because it's actually a little gingerbread house, and that's what I'm scrapping. So I loved that I got so many photos on this because I took a lot here. I always do. So it's good when I can fit in more than 3 photos on anything because it helps cut down on that bulk. And then that was the end of Norway House. Then we went over to the American Swedish Institute, and those are very close together. So it made sense to kind of do them at the same time. And since we were already in Minneapolis, they're right there. So here is just some things from the inside. I loved the simplicity of this tree, but the fact that it was non-traditional, pink and blue. And then I had the perfect card to go with it. And then over here, this had this other beautifully decorated tree elsewhere, and it was very blue, silver, gold, which I really enjoy. And obviously the green from the branches. And I knew that I had this card somewhere. So I went into my winter stuff. It wasn't necessarily with holiday, but it was winter. And it was in there. So I thought, here's the perfect opportunity to use that. And I just worked in a little green. And I really love that. Very simple, but I love it. And over here, this is another template. I don't think this is Project Life. No, it isn't. This is just a template I bought online from somebody. And then I dropped in the stuff I wanted. So I had a 4x6 card. I was able to drop that in and resize. Strip of washi here. Very simple stickers and word strips. And then a little bit of washi here too. I remember thinking this was too blank down here. So just to put a little bit of the same there worked out really well. And here we have, this is the main room of the mansion when you go to the American Swedish Institute, ASI for short. They always do this room up in Swedish style for the holidays because it is a Swedish home. That was their family. That's what the Institute is. It makes sense. And very traditional, red, white, and green again, but that's fine. Other years it has not been that traditional, but it's okay because look at the texture they included with all of these little things just in how they laid the table. I really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that, you know, that was sort of our first experience. I did scrap them sort of out of order, but that is the first major thing you see when you start going through the rooms. So that's fun. And then this one I loved. They had a little Santa or a tomta. That's the Scandinavian version of gnome. They had him hanging out here with a tropical plant in a sink, shades. And I'm like, I have the perfect card for that. I can't remember what set this came from. I know it's from In a Creative Bubble. But I love it, the fact that it was a warm weather Christmas theme thing, because they got to use it here, and I dig it. And then we made our way to other rooms. There is a little secret passage doorway that you can go through. And then it's a mini library on the inside of that. It's sort of a pass-through room because you can go out the other side to something else. And then they had this cool little thing set up. So that's perfect. Letters to Santa and all that. So I got that in there. And this was in a different room. It was a very white, green, silver themed. And I'm not sure if the camera will pick this up, but on here I did use my silver glitter pen and I outlined some of the things just to give the card a little more dimension. Otherwise it felt really flat and I didn't want to add a bunch of bulky stuff. So I thought, well, if I can make it sparkle, that's good. So I have that, and then this piece on Earth was the only other thing I added here. And then on the very upper level, there is a ballroom area, and it has a sort of small stage built in, and they do concerts up there, children's plays, sometimes all kinds of events. And they had it decorated with sort of this lopsided off-track sleigh with the presents spilling out. It was really cute. I thought it was well done. So you can see here, there it is, reindeer are trying to take off, and then the skylight in the ceiling. So I did some close-ups, and then I used a more traditional card set that I had. I think those are from Echo Park. I used one in the day one video for the St. Paul Hotel. This was another one. And again, I kept it simple, but I did highlight a couple of things in gold metallic pen. Might be hard to see here. Like I even outlined this sticker here. That's all gold around the edge. So even if you can't see it, it's there. And elsewhere in the house, they had this gigantic chair set up. So I thought, well, if you're going to put that there, I'm going to sit in it. So I did that. And I had this fun little card that was already a 4x4, which was perfect. All I had to do is just drop it in there. I chose a simple phrase, festive day, and called it good. So after that, we were ready for lunch, and we had some options in the area. But my friend said, hey, can we go back to Christos? That's where we went when she was up in October. It's Greek food. She loved it. So she said, can we go back there? And I said, sure. I'm not going to turn that down anytime. So we went there and had a very nice and fairly light lunch, which was nice. And then after that, because we were in Minneapolis and the area, our main art institute is also very close to there. So we went there. It's MIA for short. It's Minneapolis Institute of Arts. So we went to MIA. You can see right here. And this was the exhibit I wanted to see. I hadn't seen it yet, and it had been open for a while. It was beautiful. I loved all that crown stuff from the Scandinavian countries, or Norway in particular. I think it's Norway. And I just love all of that. Very Norse, which is cool. So I wanted to showcase that. And it was gold and silver happening. So I did both. And then this was the big ticketed exhibit. This is what she really wanted to see. Now, I had already been through this with my daughter, but I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. And there were quite a few galleries, but a lot of the pieces were larger. So it wasn't like you were seeing 100 things. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, we can move through that pretty quickly. I think we have time for it. Let's go. So I didn't scrap it when I went the first time. I did choose to scrap it here. So that's what you're seeing here. And it was very blue and gold in a lot of places. So I worked with that. I got to finally use a specialty foiled paper that I had, which is great. I toned it down a little bit with vellum here, but not much. And then I picked things that were yellow or gold as part of it to match across here. And I had the perfect blue card where I could do my journaling. So after that, the final big room with like the most famous piece and what the whole exhibit was based around is on the next page. That was actually very pink and sort of aqua themed, or teal. I guess this is more teal. Again, that same sticker book that had those ski lodge stickers in it had these, a whole page of poinsettia designs done in these colors. I mean, I could not ask for anything more perfect. Everything on there matched this. So got to use some of those as well. So I used 2 big ones here, and then I just did this smaller kind of pinky and tan one, and I just feel like that was meant to be. This is the perfect match for these photos. And after me, we had one more stop to make, another art-oriented thing. We went to the Museum of Russian Art, which we call Timora. So we went to Timora and we saw all of these things. They had their winter exhibits up, so they always do something different for the holidays. But then they also had this one going, and it's the world of Russian fairy tales. Very interesting, great artwork there. So that's what you're seeing on these. And I was able to use another item from that blue set of stuff that I had earlier with the little bird and the branch. This is also from there, and I love it because it's so wintry, and again, non-traditional. Got to use some blue. And then there was some really good information in the brochure, and then highlighting specific pieces. I wanted that to be available, so I chose not to deconstruct this in any way. I left it as is, and I just put an attacher on there. But the back was just hours and things, and I didn't need that, so I did cover that up with some cardstock. It's textured. And then a couple more photos from the fairy tale exhibit. Quick journaling. This was super easy. And I wanted it to be black and white so that it wouldn't detract from what's happening here, because this is very kind of light blue, green, yellow. And I actually had a sticker that matched there, which was fun that I got to use that. And then these are more items from the holiday display. And I loved those little figurines. So I wanted to put in those as well. And it worked out that I had this card that really matched these colors. Plus, I happen to have a phrase strip. So I thought, well, I'm going to put all those together and use those fun colors. And then the last page was, this is my friend taking a picture. And I just explained too that we had a great time, but we learned that she does not enjoy the cold here. As cold as it gets, so we won't be doing that again. We will stick to warmer months, and it basically has to be spring, summer, or fall, or we're not doing it. But hopefully you enjoyed seeing all the holiday things that we did up here. There's a lot going on in the Twin Cities. If you've never been, I encourage you to come visit and see how great Minneapolis and St. Paul are. We welcome you. Don't believe what you hear on the news if you're hearing bad things. But I encourage people to travel and then scrap it, because there's so much here. Thanks for watching.